How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FP and welcome back to the Deadline with Dayvy livestream. This livestream is going to be revolving around Gameweek 21. Quite a weird game week, to be honest. A lot of speculation of potential rotation, captaincy decisions, transfer decisions are all up in the air. I really don't have a set plan. I guess one transfer is pretty much going to be confirmed, and then it's just depending if I'm going to be taking a -4 hit. And then that -4 hit depends on my captaincy as well. So a lot to talk about. In terms of the Game Week 20 review, we got somewhere in the 60, I think it was 67 points, which took us up to 230k. So a slight red arrow from the team selection. That's just because of obviously Son and Kane being highly owned. Luckily, those two didn't do anything. So the red arrow from that team selection was only slightly. But overall, in the game week, we did get a green arrow, which was quite welcomed. So we're continuing this kind of consecutive run of green arrows. So hopefully game week 21 is exactly the same. And we can get a green arrow in that one as well. In terms of the rest of the live stream, apologies for being a little bit late. And in terms of other stuff, just the transfers have not been confirmed yet. So I haven't done anything with this kind of team. In terms of captaincy, I still have it on Cancelo captain, which I think I will be changing. So I don't really have the courage to go for that Cancelo captain anymore. Unfortunately, I think if you guys do have the courage to go for it, it has a really high upside. I'm just a little bit worried about potential rotation, but don't let my worries affect you guys. If you wanted to go for Cancelo and you thought that he was going to start, then don't worry about it. So Optimus Prime saying, any news about the Kane injury? So no confirmed news. The only news we've kind of had has been Jose Mourinho after the fixture against Liverpool saying that it's been basically both his ankles. So he's going to be out for a few weeks. But just remember that we had a similar situation with Son, who was taken off at halftime and then miraculously recovered to play Manchester United in a couple of days' time. So just keep that in mind. I think if you own Kane, it's a super hard situation. I would probably suggest maybe to keep him. I don't know why. I just have this weird feeling that he might be back a little bit sooner than we anticipated. And that's kind of making me want to bring in Son even more. So that's the -4. So if you haven't worked it out, the transfer that is basically going to be confirmed, and the one that I'll do quickly, is going to be Adams to Calvert-Lewin. So I will do that move shortly because that's the confirmed move. That one's not going to change. But then the second move that I'm considering is Rafinha to Harvey Barnes or Son. And then if I bring in Harvey Barnes, I'm pretty sure that I'll be captaining him. So that's why I was saying the -4 hit depends on the captaincy and vice versa. So it's a really tough game week. I do apologize that I don't really have my team set out here. It's just basic because I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Blues FPL Dayvy, should I get in Berkey for a -48 hit and captain him this week? You know, there's not many times I get a suggestion that I really have a gut feeling about. But Blues FPL, I think that Berkey transfer is going to make up that -48 hit. But please don't do that. I'm pretty sure that you're joking because you seem to know what's going on most game weeks in the comments. So I do appreciate the comment there. Optus Prime saying few weeks means 3 or 4 game weeks. I know that that's what he said, but in my personal opinion, you can't really assess the injury, especially if there's swelling straight afterwards. So he probably went in for a scan or something like that, and then that would probably given them a better line of insight. But then Spurs have been quite quiet about it. They've basically just listed Jose Mourinho's comments and then haven't done anything after that. I don't necessarily think he's going to play against Brighton, but I think in the next game week, we might see a sneaky Harry Kane there. Thatchy Dashy saying, how are you doing? I'm doing quite well, thanks, and you. Thanks for joining by, fellow South African. Igor saying, one has to go on the bench and one has to play in the first 11. Bamford and Antonio. Who goes where? So Igor, on form, I probably would say Antonio, and also because Liverpool have been absolutely dreadful defensively. So I would probably say start Antonio and then bench Bamford. Johnston or McCarthy. Mecca, I'm pretty much going to go for Johnston. I think a -1 point, I'll take that this week. But no, just joking. Hopefully, West Brom can finally get a clean sheet. But if they're not going to get a clean sheet against Fulham, also potential relegation side that I don't think there's much hope for Johnston. What I'm kind of hoping for is a clean sheet in this next 2. I know that's asking quite a bit, but they do face Fulham and Sheffield United. I mean, those are 2 of the worst teams in the Prem. I know West Brom are also one of the worst teams, but maybe we can get a little cheeky double, a clean sheet there from Johnston. So I would probably go for Johnston just because Aston Villa have been playing well right now. So I don't see McCarthy keeping a clean sheet in that one. Damien, also with the super chat, you're saying Aaron Wan-Bissaka in a 4-4-2 or Bamford in a 3-4-2. So I would always favor the attacker. The only situation that I might not play Bamford is if you do own Justin like me. If you own Justin, you might want to play the odds there and just hope that Justin gets a clean sheet. You could also play the odds in the other sense of the words where you have Justin and Bamford and you basically just hope if Leeds score, it's Bamford. And then if Justin keeps a clean sheet, obviously Bamford wouldn't have scored. So I think I always favor the attacker, so just go for Bamford in that one, Damien. But thanks for the super chat, I appreciate it. Salah out, Barnes in. I don't think I would be doing that. I think that I'm even considering Salah as a captaincy option. If you didn't have Cancelo, would you get him, Jeremy? So this is one of those tough situations, Jeremy. I'm going to kind of make it a really boring answer, and I'm going to ask you if it's going to be a long-term move, because if it's a long-term transfer, then I 100% would recommend it. But why I'm saying it's a long-term is you bring Cancelo in this week, he doesn't play, you're instantly angry and you're thinking this transfer is not worth it. But then he plays the next one and he bangs. So just have that little bit of patience with Cancelo. If he is benched this week, just know that in the long term he's going to be a good player to have. Thatcher is saying, is Cancelo a nailed captain? I don't think he's a nailed captain, but if you do have the courage, I wanted to say another phrase. You probably can think of what I wanted to say. But if you do have that, then I think Cancelo has a really strong upside. But I just always go for a captain that is nailed to start, because that's a good starting place to go for. Ollie's saying I have the exact same team except Sterling instead of Gundogan. What would you recommend? So thanks for that recommendation there, Ollie, for bringing me to the point of captaincy. So if you do have Sterling, go for him. That's my 100% captaincy favorite this week is going to be Sterling. So if you own Sterling, captain him. I'm actually really jealous of you Sterling owners, because not only last week would you probably have captained him, but then you also this week have a good captaincy option, if not the best captaincy option. So over these 2 weeks, you could do it. Can you do a video on your watch list? So if you go watch my previews every week, I include the watch list. I don't really do a separate video on it. I just kind of include it in the preview. Martinez or Johnston? I actually favor Martinez in that case because of just the way that Aston Villa have been performing. Southampton have a couple of injuries there in defence, so I think that's going to be quite a tough game for them. So I think that Aston Villa should get a result there. So Dejan, I would start Martinez over Johnston. Captain Son, Salah or Gundogan, asked Keanu. There's not a harder question that you could have asked me, Keanu, this week. I mean, the captaincy is absolutely up for debate this week. To be honest, though, out of all the three options you've listed there, I can say that all three of those should do well. On paper, all three of those should do well. It's just going to be kind of what's the difference between them. I think Salah's a safe option. Also, Gundogan. I think I slightly favor Gundogan over those other two because of just the way Man City have been playing. And Pep Guardiola came out and said that he's not going to be rested. So I think out of those three options, Gundogan. But I think that Salah or Son aren't too bad. Waltzing Matilda there with a €5 donation, like the name. I've got 2.9 in the bank. I've got Antonio, Bamford, Adams. Who should I replace for DCL? Go for Adams. That's who I'm going to be taking out, and probably who I should be taking out pretty shortly. So I favor Watkins and Bamford a little bit more. I think there's not too much between Adams and Bamford, but just the way that Leeds are so attacking, that's why I'm kind of going to take Adams out first. So you probably have the same situation as me. So I would favor taking Adams out. Are you going to make any transfers? Just log in. So I am logged in. I will make the transfer. I think Calvert-Lewin is relatively high up. So this is the move that we're going to be doing quite quickly. I know there's a lot of you guys that are early transfer merchants that want me to do transfers early. So Adams to Calvert-Lewin is going to be one of them. So there, I've confirmed it for you guys. You can see it now. I just have to decide on if I'm going to be taking a -4 hit. So Optimus Prime, 20 minutes before the deadline, make sure your team is okay. I think 20 minutes is quite early. I would only kind of check about 10 minutes before. Then you can just kind of check if your team is set up and everything. I mean, we might get some late team news that Harry Kane has miraculously got 2 new ankles and he's going to be starting against Brighton. And I think that shapes things up quite nicely. Alex says, Salah in for Rashford. So this week, I mean, that United-Arsenal game is super hard to predict. I can see both sides winning. So I think that I would consider maybe taking Rashford out. I think, Alex, I would do it 100% if you want to bring Salah in to captain him. Otherwise, I think it's a lot closer than maybe you're anticipating. But I think that if you don't have any other fires to put out, Salah, although he has blanked in the previous game weeks, Liverpool have better fixtures coming up, I think. But if you want to captain Salah, then 100% go for it. Glenn saying, great to see Cancelo captain. So maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the captaincy because right now I'm off Cancelo. So I don't want people to come in and think of it. So apologies, Glenn. I'm not going to be going for the Cancelo captain this week. I just don't have the courage for it. I'm just a little bit worried about some rotation. Cancelo or Lucas Digne, 90 minutes for captain. Out of those two options, I still prefer Cancelo. I just think that out of those two, the highest ceiling's definitely on Cancelo's side of things. And if you really want to go for a defender captain, I would prefer Cancelo. Play Souček or Bamford. So Shane, this is a decision that I've constantly been tossing and turning on, is Bamford versus Souček. And the thing that I've kind of come down to is to make myself feel a little bit better is that I'm going to be putting him on the first place on the bench so that you guys can get his points. Because if you remember correctly, all the times that I've benched Souček, he's gone on and scored. So if you guys do own Souček, put him on your teams. I'm doing you guys a favor here. I'm benching him for the sake of the squad. So you guys can thank me after this game week. Min with £2 saying, sell Rafinha or Souček for Gundogan. I would sell Rafinha rather than Souček, just because Souček has two nice fixtures in Game Week 23 and 24 that I would preferably play him in. The one thing I would take into consideration, Min, is if you have a West Ham triple up like myself, then Souček looks like a better option to sell because then you can get the likes of Antonio in. So just remember that. Blues FPL saying, remember to color code your team for extra luck. So that's why I wanted to bring in Harvey Barnes this week, because then I would have a nice little dark blue stripe on the right-hand side, and that should surely equal some good FPL points. Jose saying, Son captain. I wouldn't hold anything against people that want to captain Son. I think it just kind of lowers his stock a little bit with Kane being out. So if it went from like 100% wanting to captain Son, I think maybe now it's about a 70%. But if 70% is still good enough for you, then go for it. Barnes captain says millionaire visualizations. So the Barnes captain is, if I do bring him in, I think I will captain Harvey Barnes. I don't know, I just have this little bit of a feeling that he's going to do well this week. I know I absolutely roasted him, I think in the team selection or the preview, I can't remember correctly, but I said that he absolutely can't finish, and now I'm looking to captain him, so that's going to be quite weird. Lionel, yeah, I am from South Africa. Juza saying, Kane out, who's in? DCL, Watkins, Antonio, Lacazette. I would probably go for DCL this week. So if you're going to be taking out Kane, or you're going to be looking to replace one of your forwards, I think you might as well just take a punt on DCL because of those fixtures. Should I play Cresswell or Justin? I would go for Justin. It's the same situation. A lot of people are also asking about Soufal. I think that I would probably bench him. I know that West Ham have been defensively strong, but I reckon that Liverpool can get at least a goal. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think at least a goal for Liverpool against West Ham. Digne in for Robertson. I probably would keep Robertson this week. I don't think that, especially if it's for a hit, I wouldn't take Robertson out for a hit, but for a free transfer, Robertson has two nice fixtures coming up, so I don't know if I would do that jump to Lucas Digne yet. Tom James saying Dayvy loves Harvey, so I might have a little bit of a soft spot for him. I can't remember if I've owned him this season, but I don't know why I have a little bit of a soft spot for old Harvey Barnes. Salah, Mane or Sterling captain, I would go for Sterling. If you own Sterling, he's 100% my favorite option to go for. But I don't know what you guys are thinking. Do you think Son or Barnes for a -4 is a better move? The thing with Son is that I'm going to have to bring him in eventually because Game Week 23, I want to captain him anyways. So is it worth taking a -4 and then also a free transfer to bring in Barnes with a potential captain, or should I just kind of stick and go for a little bit more of a conservative play? Vincent saying, should I take a hit to change Kane to DCL and play DCL or simply play Bamford? If you own a Leeds defender, if you own a Leicester defender, then I would probably take the hit. But if you don't, then I think I would just save and go for Bamford. Now Harvey Barnes, it's an equalizer. So hopefully it's, now Harvey Barnes, it's a hat-trick, because then that would be quite good. DCL or Maddison captaincy, I would probably lean a little bit more towards DCL. I think that he's probably more of the safer option. What about Jesus? It's the simple option with Man City options that aren't nailed. I just don't think I would look at them because you don't really know if they're going to start or not. DCL 7 game weeks to Salah 6. I'm afraid to captain players that are in this form. So that's exactly what I'm kind of thinking with Gundogan. A player in form, good fixtures, safe option. Mitchell or Bamford, so that's quite an interesting one. Who are Crystal Palace playing this week? They're playing Wolves. I probably would just lean towards Bamford. Unless a defender has a really good fixture, then I probably wouldn't. Thoughts on Maddison? So if I'm considering Harvey Barnes, then Maddison is equally kind of the same option. Because if Maddison's good, Harvey Barnes is going to be equally good. Those two have similar stats. Harvey Barnes just slightly better on the attacking side of things, but Maddison is also on set pieces. So if you think they're going to score from a set piece, then you can look at that. Love that meme, Lars, and thanks for that one. I'm scared to captain Cancelo. So the thing with Cancelo is that if you're scared to captain him, rather don't do it, because then you're just going to regret it. But if you gung-ho, you're going to go for it, you think he's going to start, then that's what you kind of have to go for, because you have a gut feeling. You can't really judge your gut feeling at the end of the day. But if you are scared of it, I would probably suggest maybe don't do it. David, DCL in his first game week, I never captain a first game, very bad luck always. So that is true. If you are kind of one of those superstitious types of person, then he is playing the first game week of the first game of the game week. So sometimes people say that you should never captain a player in the first game. I don't think there's too much to that. I think if you think that Calvert-Lewin is going to do well, then you should. I actually hope he does, because I've brought him in. I also wanted to just touch on the thing with Gundogan captain. So I don't think Gundogan captain is as much of a non-differential as people think. Like if you look at his overall ownership, 18% right now. If everyone who owns him captains him, that's only 18% of the overall game. I mean, that's quite low. In the top 10K, it's probably going to be a lot higher. But the thing is, this week is basically the week to do a differential captain. I think the majority of people will go for Salah. And then he'll be captained by maybe 20%. But there's so many captaincy options this week that I don't think you can go too wrong. If it's not gonna. What I'm saying in that is it's not gonna come back to bite you too much if he does blank. Start Dallas or Souček. I would go for Souček, George. When should I play my bench boost? Play your bench boost in the double game week. I think it's double game week 26 if I remember correctly. Lucas Digne with a -4 captain him, says Kevin. I don't think I would look at captaining Lucas Digne, but I would look at bringing him in. Wilson to Watkins for a -4 hit. I think that could be fine, especially for a long-term move. How's it from California? Would you start Bamford or Rafinha? I probably would lean towards Bamford just because he is on penalties. 10 minutes left. Dennis saying transfers now. So it is. I have made my one transfer, but now I have to decide if I'm going to be taking a -4 hit. So Son or Harvey Barnes, who would you guys go for? Put it in chat. Apologies if it does keep up your super chat for that minute. But Son or Barnes, who do you guys think is better? Captain Gundogan or Cancelo? I think I would go for Gundogan. HTD saying play Luton or Dallas. So let's see who Burnley play. So Burnley are up against Chelsea, so I probably would play Dallas in that case. I don't think there's going to be too much between Dallas and Luton, though. You see, this is why I love doing live streams, because there's never an assured option. You guys are always 50-50, basically. So a lot of Sons, actually there's a lot of Sons at the start, and then a couple of Barneses are trickling in. So the thing with Barnes is that if I did bring him in, I would captain him. So that's what makes it interesting for me, because taking that -4 hit is going to be worth it then, in my opinion. Watson Matilda, I would go for Sterling captain, 100%. Son is safer, so that's my kind of thinking. Son is a more conservative option, but Harvey Barnes is the more exciting option, and that's why I've kind of looking to that. Tyron, I would go for Sterling. I'll say it again, if you do own Sterling, I would captain him. I just think he's the best captaincy option this week. I think that should be similarly for Gundogan. I mean, if Sterling's a good captain, Gundogan should be as well. But I don't know, there's just a kind of a feeling I want to captain Harvey Barnes, go for something different. But I do understand that Son is the more conservative option. Should I get Cancelo instead of Stones? So RJ, if you're going for a long-term move, I always will prefer Cancelo. But I think at the current moment, for the short term, Stones is more assured. Mia saying Son hauled without Kane in preseason. So I don't think we're going to look too much into the stats without Kane. I think that's definitely going to be a hindrance, especially because of the role that Harry Kane has changed. So what some people are doing is they're comparing last season to this season. when Kane has been out in the past. But you must remember that Kane is much more of an assisting threat. And when in the second half against Liverpool, I saw basically no attacking threat from Spurs, and that kind of worried me. Abbreviations for Gundogan. So apologies for my Turkish. I think it was the Turkish followers or German followers that were reminding me that the second G in Gundogan is silent. So I think it's Gundogan or something like that. So you guys can correct me in chat. Joe Feynman, thanks for the £2. You didn't say anything in the message, so just comment it in the chat and I'll be sure to get to it. But if it was just the super chat, I do appreciate it. Lloris or Johnston, I would probably lean towards Lloris. Basically, if you have any decent keeper with an average fixture, just play them over Johnston because I don't have much faith in him. So that was the question there, Joe. So hopefully I did answer it, but I would be slightly leaning towards Lloris, even though the fixture is probably a little bit harder. Andrew Hall saying Harvey Barnes. So that is true. That's wrong. It's pronounced as Gundogan. So thanks, Vincent, for that. That cleared things up perfectly. Should I take a -8 for Kane to Antonio bench Bamford? I don't think I would take a -8. I think I probably would just play Bamford. Son in Dayvy. So that's the thing is half the people are saying Barnes, half the people are saying Son. So I don't really know what to go for. Arjun saying DCL or Barnes for a -4 hit. I think I would lean towards DCL because I think he's probably more of an assured option for the long term. Ndidi is out though, says Wilson. So that is true, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be playing with 10 men. Barnes captain. So I think that I might just play it safe here because it hasn't been something that I've been thinking about for the long term. So I might just go for Son and hope that he does well. Who should I start, Wilson or Grealish? 100% Grealish. Go for Barnes for that differential. That is true, and I would be looking at captaining him as well. Callum saying captain Barnes if you have the cojones. So Callum, that's exactly what I'm thinking, is that I probably would have a little bit of courage. You also mispronounce Suchek. The actual pronunciation is headache, because that's what his benching does. So G-Ball there. I do appreciate it. Captain Barnes says Time James. Son 100% and captain him, says Optimus Prime. So my mods and my members are doing conflicting things here. Would you swap Smith Rowe to Grealish for a -4 and bench Bamford? I think I would do that just because I think that Grealish is going to have a good game week this game week. And also for the long term, I mean, Grealish is just such a quality player. Saint194 saying, Barnes captain, more exciting, why not? So that's my current thinking behind it, but I'm just kind of anticipating moving for Son in the near future anyway. So I don't know if it's worth kind of wasting a free transfer on that just to go for kind of a differential captain. It's a weird situation to be in, but hopefully there's not too much in it either way that I go. I mean, if Son scores against Brighton, I think that move would have paid off anyways, because against West Brom, I'm going to captain him anyway. Apologies for my previous autocorrect as I tried to edit, says G Rid. So no apologies needed there. Sorry for that. I should have to drink some water. Gundogan or Cancelo. If you're talking about captaincy, I probably would lean towards Gundogan. There is 4 more minutes to do. I have 5 minutes left, so I probably should make a decision. Blue saying, just think about how bad Harvey Barnes was in the beginning of the season and get in Son. So that's the thing, is I mean, it's like a tough spot to be in, but I do think that I'll be making the move. So I think it'll probably be worth kind of taking a -4 hit. It's just kind of, do I take a -4 to bench Suchek if I could just kind of play him? That's my current thinking that I'm going behind. But I think I probably will go for Son at the end of the day. I mean, Harvey Barnes is a nice little differential to go for. But I just think that I trust. The thing is with Harvey Barnes is that he gives me a nice captaincy. So that's the thing, is I don't know who I would captain if I wasn't to go for him. So I think that... honestly, this is probably the first time that I'm really stumped on not knowing what to do with my kind of team. So Harvey Barnes, not in the worst of form, actually in quite good form right now. Against Leeds, I mean, you got to back him to score in that one, and that's the kind of thinking that I am. And then he plays Fulham. I mean, Fulham could be a good game as well for them. So I think I'm going to go for Harvey Barnes in this case. I mean, that's just kind of my little bit of a gut feeling that I have. And then I also will probably captain him. So I mean, Naz Khan there with a £5 donation saying Son, Son, Son. So, I mean, I think, I don't know what to do there. I think that I'm going to go for Barnes and then just kind of go for the captaincy. A little bit more of an interesting transfer there. I will captain Dallas as Optimus Prime. So, I'm going to go for the -4 for Harvey Barnes. And we're going to slap the captaincy on him, vice captain on Salah. Let's go for it. That's a little bit of an interesting one. I mean, it probably could come back to bite me, but I'm going to go for it. What are these live streams for if we're not taking a little bit of exciting punts? But Harvey Barnes' captaincy, I think his ownership should be quite low. So 6% ownership. I doubt many people are going to go for the captain, but here we're going for it. So I'm fully expecting, especially Optimus Prime, to be in my comments on Twitter and on my YouTube comments, telling me that I should have gone for Son. So if you guys do want to come back to me in the comments next game week, if Son doesn't do well, I will take it. I will take this one on the chin. And you guys can absolutely roast me in the comments. I'm going to be having tons of Fs in chat there. So I'm just kind of going for it. Leicester are better away than at home this season. Good luck with your choice. Son was the one to go with, says Glenn. So at the end of the day, if Son does it, I mean, I'll be perfectly happy with it because in Game Week 23, I'm looking to captain him anyway. So, oh no, says Blues FPL. Good luck. Thank you, Eunice. I do appreciate it. Hopefully you guys as well. Light Ray saying Benteke, not Barnes captain. So you could go for Benteke captain. I mean, I think that's more of a differential. No, we will not say that Son scores 3 goals. Don't worry. So that is true. I mean, it's the same with kind of going for Souček. I'm benching Souček so the rest of you guys can get that bread. I'm just that much of a nice guy. So I'm kind of doing a differential, but I'm also giving you guys the lovely Souček 20-pointer. So what can you complain about? Vincent saying, Harvey Barnes is not spotted at the King Power Stadium today. So that is true. I think that might be because he plays tomorrow there, Vincent, but I do appreciate it. I've got Salah vice captain, so I would recommend you guys probably to do a safe vice captain if you are still going for Barnes. As Optimus Prime say, breaking news: Harvey Barnes is injured. So then I'm gonna be getting Souček off the bench though. So maybe this is like 4D chess from myself. And because I know Harvey Barnes is gonna not start and not come off the bench, I know that Souček's gonna come off the bench for our own team. But that's basically gonna wrap up the stream, guys. Unfortunately, the deadline has been hit there. More of an enjoyable stream, definitely more enjoyable when we take these differential punts. So hopefully you guys also maybe took a differential, maybe went safe. You guys can see what you do. Why not Grealish over Barnes? That was a consideration I was doing, but it's just that Leicester fixture and that Fulham fixture and the captaincy option that really made me go for it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this stream. And as I always do, hopefully Game Week 21 is absolutely sensational for you guys and the green arrows are in your favor. Thanks for dropping by. Drop the stream a like before you head off. And hopefully your weekend is good as well. Stay safe and I'll be signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.